Welcome to the Paradise Paradox. My name's Aaron Battle. It's 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and this is what happens to you when you start trading crypto. Your mind begins to slip, and time falls into one big international free market. Nobody sleeps in crypto. The reason why it's 3 a.m., the reason why I'm up at 3 a.m. is because I wanted to get a few cheeky trades in while my European trader friends are at church with their grandma. And, this is the best time to do that. So, in this episode, Kurt and I, we're going to discuss our personal experiences with cryptocurrencies, a few different thoughts on what's happening in the space. We're going to cover the transaction backlog that Bitcoin's experiencing at the moment. We're also going to look at the block size debate, what's happening with that and why they're taking their time. We're going to mention a few of the alternative coins like Dash and Litecoin and our thoughts on those. And then maybe the relationships between Bitcoin and the other coins. And just in general, a few risks that we've come across. So, if you guys are there to support the show, we really appreciate that. www.theparadiseparadox.com/donate to the Paradise Paradox. And thank you to the guys that are buying the t-shirts, for those that like to wear and show support on the casual Friday in the office. We have a cool range of Bitcoin t-shirts, so check those out to support real money. Just before we get into the show, Kurt and I are not financial advisors, so before you run out and invest your inheritance or mortgage your grandma's house and decide to throw it into the blockchain, I suggest you evaluate your situation and be aware of all the risks involved in crypto and the coins and the space, the blockchain. It's exciting, so don't get caught up. Let's go crypto. So Bitcoin's going down, it looks like.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, the price has been going up kind of steadily over the last week or so. Like it went on this little run from around 420 to around 460. Now it's hovering around 450.
Yeah.
So look pretty positive in that respect. But the thing is, the amount of unconfirmed transactions seems to be hovering around like 2,000 to 9,000. Right at this moment, it's about 5,555
per hour.
No, 5,555 right now. That's the amount of unconfirmed transactions.
Okay. And
yep.
Do you have a figure on how many transactions are per day? Because I mean, last I checked, we were at like 220,000, but that was a few weeks ago. And I know these things change quite a lot fast. But I mean,
I don't know. It's probably something similar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all on blockchain.
Let me see. It's coming up on CoinDesk here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, there's a couple different views here. Some people are saying that is getting a backlog, and this backlog's growing, and that's going to be a major problem. And then other people, are saying that the backlog's fine.
Yeah. So it went up to around 9,000 of these unconfirmed transactions in this backlog. So by the way, the amount of transactions per day is about, yesterday it was 239,000 transactions.
Okay.
But it seems to hover over the last month around 200,000. That's about the figure we're looking at.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the unconfirmed transactions, I mean, ideally it would be around, close to zero. But like in a thread, I think you linked me to this thread on Reddit.
Yep.
Somebody was like, it's nothing to worry about. It's only if the unconfirmed transactions gets to around 50,000, then we'll have to worry. But that's kind of, from my perspective, that's kind of ridiculous, because I mean it's not like the problem is fixed if the transactions are only around 5,000. It just means that the problem is there, but to a lesser extent. And with no movement on the block size debate, like it doesn't look like people are implementing Bitcoin Classic yet to increase the block size to enable more transactions.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's staying. The block size is staying at 1 megabyte, and that means nothing is really getting better when it comes to Bitcoin. So in comparison, like we have something like Dash, where the block size was at 1 megabyte, and they took a vote out of all of the people who were holding Dash, and they increased it within 24 hours. Now that sounds like a system which is much more reliable. That sounds like a system which is going to respond to the needs of the users. Bitcoin doesn't really look like that system right now.
Yeah, in comparison, Dash would be like a jet ski that avoided the iceberg, in comparison to the Titanic, that everyone sat around and was like, there's an iceberg in front of us. We could miss it, but
right.
We need consensus. Full steam ahead.
Yeah. Should we use the lifeboats or not? Let's draw straws or so.
Okay, yeah, we got a problem.
Let's take a vote, take a census of everybody on the ship before we can make a decision. That seems what it's like.
Okay, that's almost a better comparison, because, well, a lot of people are very proud of Bitcoin, and they're almost got this like blind faith that it's going to make it no matter what, and that's a problem too. Because what if it doesn't?
And there are a few.
Well, I'm saying that there's always going to be transactions in the backlog. I think that's kind of normal. With a 10-minute block size, and you expect that. Like I remember was saying, what, half an hour transaction time. It's not ideal, but you deal with it. You accept it. Like, that's what it is. I'm transferring Bitcoin. It'll be there in half an hour. But lately, you and I are seeing times of upwards of an hour, which I think is uncomfortable, more uncomfortable.
Yeah,
especially if you're looking to get your cash out.
So in comparison, an hour doesn't seem that bad. But the thing is, we're talking about the crypto space, the cryptocurrency space. So we can't just compare it with this old banking system that's been around for 50 years and is kind of this giant dinosaur and it's useless. We have to compare it with the options that people have. And it's not like once you get Bitcoin, you're like, oh yeah, I only like Bitcoin. No, just about everybody who's interested in Bitcoin has their eye, at least, on these other cryptocurrencies, and they don't have this problem. So why the question is, why are people going to stick with Bitcoin? And the main argument for that seems to be, well, it's the market cap. Bitcoin is the first mover, has this first mover advantage. It has the infrastructure behind it. And I guess that that has some element of truth to it. A lot of people have put money in the infrastructure around Bitcoin. But in the big scheme of things, the market cap of Bitcoin is just around $7 billion, which seems like a lot of money, but it's not. When it comes to a currency, that's a really small amount of money. I was just looking up, like, if you have a penny stock or a micro cap stock, that's around $300 million. So Bitcoin, it has this relatively small market cap, the market cap of a handful of micro cap companies, and it's not like it takes a huge move for people just to say, actually, I'm done with Bitcoin. I'm going to jump on Dash, or I'm going to jump on Ethereum, or they can make any kind of choice there and choose something different. But on the other side, it's like Bitcoin has withstood all of these problems in the past. Like, there have been challenges to the protocol, and it has managed to withstand them. So that's one thing in its favor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Bitcoin does have a good history, a good run, but then there's other coins that aren't that far behind it as well. Looking at my bag of crypto holdings, I've made a plan where I want to try and keep 20% in Bitcoin, just because it is a little more reliable than the other coins, and it's hard for me to do that. I mean, I'm trading my coins, and even though I say, and I've put it on paper, my plan, I need to keep 20% in Bitcoin, just as a as a smart move to diversify my holdings. I find myself moving out of Bitcoin as I can see other opportunities in other coins. And you're right, Bitcoin 1 hour doesn't seem like a big deal in comparison to what we've been accustomed to with traditional banking, but compared to some of the coins that are almost instant, it's extremely slow. It's very heavy.
Yeah.
But then it's interesting to say, you're right. Most people that jump into the crypto and usually get their Bitcoin, usually you start with Bitcoin first, they would very quickly begin to realize that there's another 600 so coins that have other purposes, that have teams, other almost companies behind them that have more value to offer rather than just transferring value. And it's you do get caught up in this, not like a get rich quick. You want to support other coins, but then you want to try and capitalize on the value of some of these names that pop out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden you realize that there's people on the development team that came from this other team, and then you start reading blogs, and then before you know it, you're in 5 hours a day following companies and trading coins. It's a slippery slope, but you realize that you're no longer holding Bitcoin. You're in the space, but Bitcoin is just like the front door to a big house of opportunity.
Yeah. Cool.
So then I see. Just on that, what's happened? I mean, I don't know how closely you follow altcoins, but in the last 2 weeks, we've had a pretty big hit. Like within the last 2 weeks, has been 3 hits of 20, 30, 15% drop. Part of that's because Bitcoin has had this slow creep up the hill, which has been great up until I think yesterday, where it took a bit of a dive. But it's still holding good value. What's interesting is that there's a inverse relationship between the altcoins and Bitcoin in general, not in all of them. It's like I tried diversifying my holdings, like I said, 20% in Bitcoin, but to keep the rest spread over a few coins that seem very promising. And when they all take a hit of between 15 and 30%, it's like, well, how much can I diversify? All of a sudden now I'm thinking I should hold more cash as well. It's a hard game to play.
Yeah.
But with this relationship with Bitcoin, it's like Bitcoin goes up, the coins lose value. Bitcoin stops, and all of a sudden the coins catch up. So there's I feel like, not that I'm a big trader, but I feel like it's a very different world in the way that value moves around cryptocurrencies.
Yes. Do you want to tell me about what happened with Litecoin the other day?
Okay. Well, a little history. I've always been a big fan of Litecoin ever since maybe Christmas 2000 around then 2013 or early 2014 when it hit $50. At the moment it's about $4.
Yep.
And about 2 months ago it hit I think, well, it hit a very
It
high.
went up to about $8.
Again.
It had a run from about $2 to about $8, and then it settled back down around $3 because of apparently because of the halving of the increase in Litecoin supply.
Okay, yeah. Well, see, these two events almost seem like, because a lot of people don't believe in Litecoin. It's like technically it's no different to Bitcoin.
No, that's not
really,
that's not true. That's not true. It has some technical advantages on Bitcoin. I mean,
well, it's faster. It's got a larger block size. I mean, it can handle. No, well, it's been modified. Okay, but essentially
it has an
the
improved
original
encryption algorithm. It also has. I mean, when Lee I think the fellow's name is it Robert Lee or Charles Lee? I forget which, but
Charles.
Charles, okay. So Charles Lee developed it, and he did foresee some problems which Bitcoin had later on. So he managed to avert these problems working on Litecoin. So he's technically in some ways it is superior to Bitcoin. It has these enhancing encryption compared to Bitcoin. So, yeah.
Well, the question you posed is what happened the last couple of days. What I've noticed, and I don't think anybody really knows for sure, but it appears to me that there's a lot of automated trading, like micro trades on Litecoin, and it seems like the majority are in China on the Chinese exchanges. I could be wrong. And for a long time, it did nothing but creep down for almost the last 3 months, and then out of nowhere it started to move, and it started to move on the back of Bitcoin starting to move as well. They both started creeping upwards, and I mean this is interesting because I mean it's been documented that Litecoin follows the Bitcoin trend, but I think now that we're coming up to a situation where nobody really knows where Bitcoin's going to go, and Litecoin has got a similar history of being robust, we're going to see more money go into Litecoin. And I mean, the difference between Litecoin and Bitcoin is like 100%, like $450 compared to $4. I mean, there's a lot of room for Litecoin to grow. With that being said, I didn't sell at either of the peaks of Litecoin because I thought there was more room to grow. And there possibly is, but it's very hard to pick the top. It's easy to buy cheap. It's hard to pick the top. It's you get caught up, and so now I've implemented different strategies. But even with that, I got no idea where Litecoin's going to go.
Well, yeah. When Litecoin hit $50, it was kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy from Max Kaiser, because at the time he was like talking it up so much and saying it was so great. Then when it went to $50, it kind of fizzled out after that, and he didn't I noticed months later, he was talking about certain altcoins, and it was like, and maybe you want to get some Litecoin, like as if he'd never endorsed it, as if it was never something that he was talking about with such passion.
Yeah, that's happened to a lot of people that comment in the space of crypto, and it's very easy to do because you look at the team that's behind a certain coin, you look at its function, and it's easy to say the world needs that, and that's that's a $50 million company, it's a $1 billion company or whatever. And the coin should be worth about that. If it was a company offered on a exchange, like on a large stock exchange, you say, well, that's definitely undervalued. However, crypto doesn't behave the same, and this is why I mean personally, man. Well, it's okay. It's real because you're trading real assets, like actual accountable things. It's not printed money that's flooded into a system. But on the other hand, because it's so small, anyone that does have money, it can easily be manipulated. And that's something that I can see with the pumps and dumps. And you only have to follow a few of the commentators on Twitter to see what what's hot on the list of what's going to get pumped next. And it's fun to follow, but I mean, there's no guarantees in any of that either. And you can see people that are just following the trends, and they're not going to know when to pull their money out in time. And the coins they rise quickly, but they fall even quicker. And watching the flow of that, it makes you wonder about Bitcoin. Because if Bitcoin can rise 10%, and then every other coin overnight can lose 30%, and some of them hold substantial holdings, like they're not as big as Bitcoin, but you're right, they're smaller than penny stocks.
Yeah, most
what's
of them.
to say Bitcoin? I mean, if Bitcoin loses 50%, I mean, it could do that in a weekend, on a Sunday. It could very easily do that. I mean, I've seen other coins lose more
on a week
quicker.
full of Sundays, Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, it's. I mean, I'm trying not to. Because I understand there's people probably listening to this that have heard. I mean, it's probably a whole range. There's probably some experts that are tuning in, because, I mean, I consider anyone that talks to us about this sort of stuff is almost expert, because hardly anyone talks about it. I mean, it's not hard to be an expert because it's so early. But then there's probably people that are interested in getting in on the action, but don't really want to go full risk. But I have to be honest, it's 100% full risk.
Yeah, well, like with just about any kind of investment, I suppose. Well, some are a little safer.
Unless they're going to play, the 10-year card, and it's like, I'm going to buy, but I'm not. I may not. You need to know you might not want to look at it for another 10 years, because it's very stressful.
Yeah, I don't know about that, because I thought like that for a little while. I thought, well, what if I just buy a few Bitcoins and then put it away and forget about them? But I think you do need to have kind of this mentality of almost like a swing trader.
Yes.
Because if you fall behind, and if you say, oh well, I had my Bitcoins buried in the backyard, and I'll dig them up when I'm a millionaire, you might miss a lot of important things, because Bitcoin is still young and it might fail, and then where does that leave you? So you got to keep your eye on the ball in this game.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're right. I retract that you can buy Bitcoins and hold them for 10 years, because.
Well, who knows? I mean, it might be worth it with a small amount, and that's your lottery ticket. But it depends.
Well, I noticed that I took my eye off the ball for a few months. Just other things got in the way, and then all of a sudden you're not looking at your market caps and whatever. And it's like, it's okay, because I'm a long-term trader, right? But there's a big difference between trading and investing. I mean, I think with crypto you can't afford. I mean, let me see how I can phrase this. You can decide to put in, say, pick out a few of the coins that you like what the company stands for, what they're offering, as in, maybe they're going to look after encrypting data, or maybe they're going to do something like distributed storage. And you think, that's a really good idea. These are the first guys to the market. I'm going to invest something modest, $100 in this company, and I'm not going to look at it. Like, I might check in every few months, see how they're going, but I'm not going to be looking at it every day. But when you're starting to put in more money, and this is something that you think is interesting to you, you like following the companies, you start following the developers on Twitter, then it's something that you're checking 3 times a day, every day. and when you don't, I mean, when it's Saturday or Sunday and you've gone on a picnic with your wife, you're looking for an internet connection.
All right.
It's a scary game.
So, what are your final thoughts? Do you have any idea where Bitcoin's going to go? Is it going to succeed? Is it going to fail? Is it just an unknown?
Okay. I think Bitcoin's going to make it through. Whether they change the block size or not, where there's hundreds of thousands of transactions in the background or not, I think the Bitcoin system's going to go through. How much Bitcoin is worth, I can't say. Personally, I'm going to keep a couple. I'm going to try and keep maybe 10%, in Bitcoin, knowing
10%
knowing what
of your
happened.
crypto portfolio, not 10% of your net
Yes.
worth. Yeah.
No, well, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
10% of the crypto bag is going to be in Bitcoin because you can see what happened the last couple times it went through a halving or a change in block reward, and the last time it did it, I found a video on YouTube. You know what? I'm going to look for it because it was very interesting. The guy that was speaking, he showed he had some way that I've never measured Bitcoin or analyzed how Bitcoin's going, but he showed that what's happening now is exactly what's happening a month or two before last time it changed in block reward, and after a month after the change, that was the 77 times, like when it went from like $250 to to the 1,200, and then he showed that nearly exactly the same thing happened when it went from $30 to I don't know what it was, a couple $100.
Okay.
It's like it's showing similar characteristics. So, to not buy that lotto ticket, I think silly if you're in the space. But then at the same time, looking at what happened in the last couple of weeks, where Bitcoin did shoot up, and every other cryptocurrency lost quite a bit of value, they did bounce back afterwards. And most of the positive ones, I mean, most of the stronger companies that are actually, in my opinion, worth something, they usually jump past, the Bitcoin trend. But they all follow. I mean, they all follow the same. Like they're all boys in the ocean. The ocean rises, they all rise. Some of them are slower than others. So end advice: you got to be in. I mean, you got to be in the action, right? You have to be. But I'm not both feet in water. No way.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
What are your thoughts? Because I know you. I mean, obviously you have Bitcoin as well. What are your thoughts looking at what's happened in the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think that one factor is the longer the block size debate goes on without being resolved, the longer that I lose faith personally in that it ever will be resolved.
Yeah.
And I mean, if this is the kind of thing that happens, with such a simple thing, or at least on the surface, what appears to be a simple thing, such as the block size, I have to wonder, like, what if there's a real challenge? So to me, that looks kind of bearish, but it still does have that strong history. And yeah, I think there's kind of smart people on both sides. Turo de Minster is still, I don't know if he'd classify himself as a Bitcoin maximalist, but he's got a lot of faith in Bitcoin and thinks it's so resilient. So that's one thing. Max Wright is saying that the halving is going to boost the price a lot, but on the other side you have like David Seaman, and he's saying that things are looking very negative for Bitcoin with these block size problems. So yeah, I mean, people are saying that the halving, when it comes up in a couple of months, or what is it, like 6 weeks now?
It was the 11th of July, but I think it's moved to like 12th or 13th now.
Okay.
It's variable.
The halvening.com so you can count down the minutes.
It's...
Yeah.
Also, Trace Mayer, he's very positive about the change.
Okay.
And, I respect his thoughts in the Bitcoin space. He seems to have... He's been right so far. So
that's true. Okay, so yeah,
it's hard, man. It's so hard.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it does spell problems for Bitcoin, but we'll see how it goes. It never hurts to have a little bit. Cool. All right. So I guess that's it.
Yeah. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck. Happy trading. Happy millionaires. Happy Bitcoin billionaires. If Bitcoin passes the halving and goes up by 25x, there might be a lot of happy people.
Yeah. Well. In this video, we're gonna put in it's the guy quoted 33,000 or 35,000 in Bitcoin.
That'd be fun.
Just based on the last two times.
Okay, well, we'll see. All right.
Yep.
Have a good one.
Cool. Yeah, man. See ya. Thanks for hanging out the dimension of the Paradise Paradox. If you're interested in show notes, go to the www.theparadiseparadox.com/104. That's 104. Please check out our other episodes in the crypto space where we talk to experts such as Andreas Antonopoulos, Tour de Mistre, Juan Galt, Alberto Quintanilla from Pulse BTC, Diego Gutierrez, Saldivar, de Sistema D, and even the Daily Decrypt team, Amanda B. Johnson and Pete Eyre. If you want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with me, Aaron Battle at BattleAZ. You can get in touch with Kurt at Troubled Bubble. In the meantime, happy trading, good luck, peace, and love to all. Let's go, crypto.